Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those government entities that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
And whether you live in the village of Leonard, the village of Oxford, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you elected. And the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you attended that meeting or not. And it did directly affect you.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here.
Right, that and to dig up humor, because there is humor in every political meeting I found.
That's right.
Right, okay.
Didn't they have the four humors back in the medieval, you know, the black humor, the bile, and all that good stuff?
They did. Can you tell me more?
We're going after good humor, folks.
We are. Also, one of us likes to spread rumors. And, right, so be careful. You want to...
That's Bob over here, I think.
Yeah, they kind of have to, you know, kind of like picking cotton, pick out, you know, what's real and what is almost real and what is, you know.
Most of the stuff we say is real.
It is. You know what, I did want to, first of all, up front, before we get into these meetings, talk about the village council election, you know, for new council members.
That's right. That'll occur in, what, August?
That's, no.
No?
Well.
Yes?
No. Will you please let me explain? Actually, the village, the people who turn in the ballots, in other words, the number of signatures on the petition, which is 25 to 50. Preferably, you know, if you're going to apply for
it takes 25 to 50 to
signatures
become,
to get
become
on
a
the
candidate.
ballot.
Become a candidate.
Right, get on the ballot. Now, if you're going to vote for village council people for these seats, you will get a chance to do that in November. Now there is a, you know, an election coming up, primary, and that primary is in August 2nd, and that will involve the township of Oxford.
Ah.
And here's the point.
Will that be a final election?
No, that will select the candidates for the November election.
Just like the village?
Just like, well, the village won't, because the village goes directly to, you know, the balloting in November. They don't get involved in the primary.
Okay.
Do you see where I'm going with this? There goes the train. It went that way. Now you see the humor in this, don't you, folks?
Leading me down that primrose path. Okay.
Right. The one thing I want to mention, too, is that some folks, because they live in the village, which is part of the township, they don't think that they can vote, you know, in the primary for the township.
They pay township taxes?
They do.
Then they vote.
Yes, they do. So you folks out there that don't think that you can vote in the primary for the township, and those people that are going to be sitting on those prospective boards, you can, you know, you do vote. Go to where you usually go to your precinct on August 2nd.
Double your voting, double your fun.
Yeah, and bring your husband, your wife, that way it's double.
Just don't vote twice for the same people.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. You cannot vote twice. Well, actually, they have pretty good people that control that. So it's pretty hard to get out of there voting twice.
You do
I've
that,
seen
don't
people
you?
try.
You do that,
I
don't
do
you?
not.
For the township,
They do that in Brandon, I know, but they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, that would be one of the rumors that he'd want to spread. But anyway, so I just want to remind the folks out there that the primary election is coming up on August 2nd. Don't miss it. Get out there because it's very important. That'll determine in the township who's going to be on the ballot in November.
So cut those vacations short. Don't go to Disney World like you planned. Oh, what, did I say something wrong?
Yeah, that would be you. I think your wife just planned that. So let me know how that works for you. Okay, let's talk about the Village of Oxford meeting that they had on May 24th, which is just, you know, a couple days ago.
Yep. Because
there's a couple of interesting things that happened. First of all, they did pass agreement with all the council members that 10.62 mills will be applied next year, the same millage that was passed last year and the previous year.
So that doesn't have to be approved by voters.
Well, it's not going to go up. It's going to remain the same.
Right.
So just so you folks know, your taxes are not going to go up.
But if they hadn't voted that way, would it have died?
Yes, it would have, because it's got to be approved by the council first.
Okay.
So they could have raised it as much as 4 mills if they wanted to.
But to continue it, it doesn't require a vote of the people.
No, just approved by the council.
Okay.
To go ahead and accept, I mean, unless they want to drop it. I don't think they'll do that though, because they kind of actually need some funding over there, you know.
I don't think that would require a vote of the people. No, do it.
Yeah. And all you people that are in the village that are employed, yeah, you don't have a job anymore. That could be rough. So anyway, so it's a 10.62, no increase.
Okay.
So that was kind of an interesting point that came about.
As the song goes, it's the same as it ever was.
It was. But they did have bills that had to be paid to the tune of $60,619.19. So that was approved.
you're really splitting
had to be
hairs there.
paid, splitting hairs. And the other thing that I thought was pretty important in this meeting that came up is that the piece of property on 98 Glassby Street. Remember that one?
Oh my God. What about it?
That was Chuck Snyder had a purchase agreement on it, and that fell through. Actually, he has control of the property until sometime the end of June before it can actually be taken over by someone else.
And he got denied his project of 76 units.
He did.
Was it condos or apartments?
It was condos.
Okay.
And because, it was really an overkill for that area. And
At least in the view of the people across the street.
well, yeah, I mean, you talk about, for example, pitchforks and fire. I mean, they were there.
Well, they were
encouraged-
complaining about increased traffic coming down. Well, guess what? They're building a set of condos up by Myers.
Yeah.
And guess
That's in
where?
township.
And is it?
Yep, that's
But
township.
guess where those people are going to come to go home?
Right. but-
Especially after M24 gets built, the bypass.
Oh, there's
gets built.
definitely a traffic issue. I mean, there's been a traffic issue for years here,
So
from what
they
I understand, with
basically-
24, but,
I think they just basically delayed it a little bit.
right. And that just shows you what happens, what impact the township has on the village people as well. Now, the village actually encompasses about 1 mile square, so
Kind
it's
of like
not very large.
Well, kind of like what the city of Detroit has on Hamtramck.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's an enclave
Yeah,
in a way.
could be,
Could be.
might be.
There you go.
Could have been. Okay. Anyway, let's say it was. Anyway, so there's 3 companies that made a bid on this property. It was given to a real estate company, and the 3 offers that came in. The first offer was $210,000 by a company who wanted to make it light industrial. Right away, that one was shot down because the commissioners or the council members felt that that wasn't a proper fit, for that property. So they chose not to accept that one. Then the other 2 offers that came in were at $305,000 each.
For
And
what?
For residential buildings to be built
Oh.
in there, to make it residential. And one of the companies was Clearview Homes. And Eric Ebling, I believe it's Ebling or Ebling, came in. He was the spokesperson for it. And I think he's one of the owners or one of the executive people with that company. And actually, they built homes. One of them is, what's one over here? Willard? Not Willard? Lake?
Man.
That one. One of those.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, you got me on that one. And you're not going to help me either, are you?
No,
You'll see this.
But are these homes or are these units of like apartments or condos?
Willow Lake. That's what I said. I was close.
Willow Lake.
Yeah,
okay.
Willow Lake, right over here. A lot of those homes this company built.
Okay.
Very nice homes. And there's other homes, too, that they built.
But
And
to go back to my question, are these individual homes or are
individual
they...
homes.
Okay.
They are.
How many?
19. And we'll talk more
Somewhat
about
less than 76.
a whole lot less. And we'll talk more about that when we come back, folks, right after this.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Bill Service. I'm the producer of our Community Access. For nearly 10 years, Terry and I have been bringing our Community Access into your living rooms to keep you informed about what's happening in our communities.
We've all had great fun at our community events such as Lone Ranger and Strawberry Festivals.
We brought you natural wonders such as bees and ceremonies to bless them.
We've kept you informed of election issues and how your votes affect all of us.
And we've told you about our local artist important fundraisers that help the ones you love.
We've helped you get to know our new business neighbors and much, much more.
But we're not done yet. There's much more we plan to cover. So watch us weekdays on Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99 at 9:30 at 1, then at 7 o'clock, and Saturday at 9:30.
See you there.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Village Council, and they have a piece of property located on 98 Glaspie Street that so happens they have a company that's interested, actually two companies, in purchasing the property. And they're both, bids came in at $305,000.
How much did that property cost originally?
$725,000.
I
$725,000.
just like bring that up.
But that was, 2009, 10. That was before, the mushroom
Property
cloud and
started
everything fell.
appreciating. Before property started appreciating.
That was a good time for the person that owned the property to sell it, and not so good for the people that purchased it, I would say.
I think that owner said,
That was a close call. Missed that bullet. Anyway, somewhere's in the Bahamas about now.
yeah.
So anyway, the price came in at $305, willing to pay, and then there's quite a discussion as to which one should they accept, or should they interview both, by the Planning Commission, or and it actually came down to the point that procedurally, the person who put in the first bid for the amount that was asked is the one that they should accept, and if for some reason that falls through, then the secondary would get an opportunity.
Was it
to
both for the same
pursue.
number of units?
Both considering 19 units, but it was pointed out that the property probably wouldn't handle 19 units because of the cul-de-sac that they're going to run through there.
Wait a minute. That's the same thing they ran into with the 76 units.
It is. But get this,
They
Eric,
only want two, don't they?
probably one would be fine, but Eric Ebling, who represented Clearview Homes, he said, look, if we need to make adjustments to the numbers, he said, I don't feel there's going to be an issue there. He said, we'll go ahead and proceed with it. And Bill Dunn, the supervisor of the township, he got up and he said, what you should do in order to expedite this whole thing is put together a preliminary plan. This is what the township does all the time.
All right. Planning Commission.
Yeah, put together a preliminary. Won't cost you anything to go in and bounce it off.
Was this their first shot at the thing, or?
First shot.
Okay. Wouldn't they normally have gone through the Planning Commission first?
Not at this point. Because it was a real estate deal.
With
that
the
they're trying to approve.
township property or with
Right.
village property?
Yes. Select
Okay.
who you're going to pick as far as who's going to purchase the property was the first issue.
Oh, okay.
Now, once that has been decided, now Bill Dunn is saying, put together a preliminary site plan, bring it in, to the planning commissioners, and kind of have a brainstorming session, so that it'll save you time, energy, and money.
Right.
Next time around, you will have made the adjustments, recommended, by the planning commission, and that time you come in for your site plan approval. And that's the way the township does it, and it goes along pretty smooth. So
It'd be pretty
smart.
good. Add, 19 homes to the tax rolls?
19 homes, or maybe 17. It's hard to say what it's going to be. But
yeah.
it'll be more homes to the tax. Anyway, that's what happened pretty much with the Village of Oxford Village Council. Don't forget, though, there are seats available in the election coming up in November.
And even more seats in the audience.
Right. Yeah. But you have to have your petition in July. A deadline in July. If you don't, you're not going to get an opportunity. They could
How many
use some very
signatures do you
experienced
require
people.
again?
25 to 50, and
25 to 50?
right. I'd recommend that you get 30 signatures, qualified signatures, valid signatures of residents, and that usually is sufficient.
Seems kind of generic.
Yeah, and actually the township requires the same number of signatures. If you're running for office. there.
Really?
Yep, they do. Okay, let's talk about the Village of Oxford DDA. Okay, Pete Schultz, of course, is the chairperson.
The Downtown Development Authority.
Right.
Authority.
Right. But Pete wasn't there. So Sue Bassardit filled in,
Okay.
for it.
Who's also the chairman of
Pro
the...
tem.
no, she's the president of the village council.
Oh,
isn't
she is, yes. And she serves on a number of other boards too, including the Communications Commission.
Yep.
So we're not doing that one, although you did have a meeting the other day, and we'll catch that one next go around. Joel Frost, of course, is the executive director. And it was pointed out that Jerry and Jamie Crimmins won an outstanding business award. For their
Sullivan's
business,
Pub?
Sullivan's Pub. Great restaurant, great people. And let's see.
Irish to the bone.
Irish to the bone. They did talk about Project Driven, which is a program that they have for Main Street, which was with the Oakland County representative came in and gave a presentation. And we discussed that at the last meeting, remember?
Yep.
So let me see, anything else that happened there? No, that's pretty much it. They talked about Lone Ranger,
Oh,
and that festival is coming up August 6th.
you betcha.
And they need volunteers to round up the critters.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand there's going to be bank robbers too, so you might want to, catch those
Bank
guys.
robbers?
Yeah, there's going to be bank robbers. Remember the old bank used to be on that corner where the library, or not the library, but the history.
That's right. And before it was a bank,
Museum.
it was a barber shop. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Boy, that was a pretty big barber shop, huh?
You betcha.
Boy, what happened to that business?
Became a bank.
Bank bought them out. That makes sense. I've seen that happen once or twice.
And the rest was history.
The rest is history, yes. And by the way, they have a great museum down there. You folks who haven't had an opportunity to go to
There's
downtown.
more to it than meets the eye. They have an upper level and a lower level. And the lower level is really neat, especially if you're interested in the machinery and what people did back in the day.
That's pretty much where they keep the whiskey machines, where they make, that stuff down
Man,
the
they never
basement.
showed me that one.
See, there is much more that you folks can learn. But do go to the go to the history, and go to the library too.
When they
but-
told me to keep still, I thought it was me to keep still, not they keep us still. No.
they keep still, yeah. So we'll spread that rumor. And by the way, I think you started the rumor. Just between you and me.
You finished it.
I did. Okay. But anyway, it's some interesting things in there. What really throws you is the fact that when you go into the museum and you see some of these older pieces of equipment, by golly, you know how to do those things when you were younger for some reason.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
get it.
Yeah, it was long before electricity when you
Yeah.
had a tool that did a specific task and it did it well,
It did.
but it needed a hand.
It did. That's why there were probably about 10 or 12 children in every family on the farm. Lots of farm hands.
Yeah, that was before Donald Trump said you're fired. No, kid, you're
Yeah,
getting
that
it
would
wrong.
be now. Yeah,
Bring in
you're
your
gone.
sister.
You're gone. Yeah. Let's see if there's anybody else back there, right? Well, let's talk now about the Oxford Township Planning Commission meeting, the township. That's run by Todd Bell.
Good guy.
Yep. And I want to say that out of all the meetings that I've viewed and been at, Todd Bell is probably one of the sharpest chair people I've seen. But in checking his history, I mean, he's a contractor. He has been for years.
Did he pay you money to say
No,
that?
he really. This isn't for Todd. I never paid him a penny, and he never paid me.
Oh, you're in trouble then.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. But anyway, great chairman, and I just really enjoy watching the way he handles these sessions.
He really does do a great job.
Yeah. First thing they did, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Yep, got that taken care of. Then they did roll call, and pretty much everybody was there. Ed Hunwick, Jack Curtis, Callie Rossner Meyer, Mike Spiz, who's
Yeah.
with the county commissioner,
Yep.
and Mr. Berger and Mr. Young.
And
So
you-
everybody
And
was
Mike
there.
Spiz used to be on the township board too.
Yeah, he used to serve on several boards actually when he was, with the township.
Does that present a conflict of interest if you serve on the township board and, say, the village council?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't,
No.
Okay.
You can do that if you're, if you're a resident of the village.
but you can be elected to both.
You can be elected to both.
Oh,
You could be,
okay.
if that's what you wanted to do. If you have lots of free time like you do, you could probably do it.
Yeah, you had all the free time.
Let's talk about free time when we come back right after this, folks.
I would love to have all the local World War II veterans on my life. Just think about it. These folks were born around World War I, grew up during the Depression and Prohibition, and then went to fight for us in Europe and Japan. What great stories they could share. What examples they are. What inspirations. Some of them and others are coming up on my life Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., Saturdays at 10 a.m. If you have any suggestions, please call us at the station. We'd love to hear from you. This is John Ochins. Join us on Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Oxford Township Planning Commission meeting.
Yep.
Run by Todd Bell.
Very good guy.
A very good guy. And we went through the Pledge of Allegiance, all that good stuff. And they said, are there any comments, from the public? They looked around. Nobody except,
They were checking out the
One person.
shine on their shoes, except for that guy.
yeah, Jack Curtis. Jack Curtis raised his hand. He says, I just want to make a comment. He said that the hills of Oxford, remember the PUD? You know what that is?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, you know.
Public Unit Development.
Oh,
okay. And quite a process to that, but it was approved by the trustee board. So he said it's a go. They're going to be having new homes over there, and so it was approved. And he just wanted the planning commission to know that because they had sent it to the trustee board, for approval.
Ah,
All,
good.
all set. Did I say everything right there?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. And they said, is there any unfinished business? They said, well, there's a final amendment was made to the Grand Hill Townhomes and Abbey Ridge Apartments. Now, originally they came before the Planning Commission a while back, actually several times, and they needed some adjustments to their site plan. And they said with conditions, they could go ahead and they could, go forward with this. The fellow spoke for Burton Katzman was Chuck DiMaggio, and he came before the board and said that it looks as though everything is all kosher now, and they pretty much agreed, after looking at it. BKG of Oxford is the developer. He's going to go forward with this. Engineering consultant Jim Sharp is the person that's working with the engineering side of it, and he said that everything was okay with him. He reviewed this whole thing about a year ago, Jim said, and he said it looks like everything is in alignment now. The site plan was addressed from previous meetings, and he said all the conditions are complete, is what the engineer said. So Jack Curtis made a motion that they approve it.
And
it
that boat
was
got
approved.
launched.
And that boat got launched. Yep, there it was, going off into the horizon. Excuse me. And new business was the next thing that came up. And hey, we're back to Shepherd Lane. Remember that one?
No.
Yeah, they attempted to change Shepherd Lane to a different name, and the chief, fire chief, he says no.
Oh, that
he said
one,
that's
yeah.
not going to happen. He says that won't work. He says so we're going to have to, keep it what it is.
Could be years before GPS actually gets updated to a new name.
Could be, but he said we know where to find Shepherd Lane right now. He said if you change it, you have a fire. We're never going to find you. So that's the way it was left. Other than that, the builder, let me see, for that project, it's called MD Hubbard Spring, and it was a preliminary plan that was before them. And,
We should have a little map,
Yeah,
little
there-
stars that say where
yeah.
these places are.
well, like at the township, they have that monitor behind them, and they just project everything up there.
Oh, you mean that one?
Yeah,
No.
kind of like that one. We could do that here, probably. Take a note, will you?
Take a note.
Okay. The builder is Ted Taylor. Excuse me. And by the way, the Planning Commission knew this guy and does a good job. He's from Waterford. And so they didn't see any problems along those lines. Charles Hubbard is the owner of the property.
Okay.
And let me see. What he wants to do is put an addition onto a building
Okay.
on this thing. Okay?
Pushing those easements.
Pushing those easements. Consultant was Carlisle Wortman, and he said the only problem, as you pointed out, was a setback, and he thought that could be worked out. He said
No, only if it
there's
gets
no
denied.
complaint on
Only
it.
if it gets denied is it a setback.
Yeah, it could be a real setback. Yeah. He said, "Whoa, I can't build this thing." By the way, I forgot to tell you, we already started construction. That could be a problem. That's
Fait
happened
accompli.
before,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where somebody starts the construction and thinking that they're going to get the permits and everything.
Kind of like ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, that's bad news, because they can make you tear it down, not a good thing. But in most cases, they try to compromise and, they say, why did you start the project before you? Anyway, you don't want to deal with Todd Bell on a subject like that, I can tell you that, because you have to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, make sure you got it right.
And your ducks in a row.
And your ducks in a row, and the rest of the commissioners too. I mean,
Yeah.
they're pretty sharp. So, let me see, fire chief, he said the only problem he had was there weren't any signs for no parking at the end of the street, and he said that would be a requirement. Site plan requires a safety path, which he didn't see it on the site plan. By the way, you know, even though they may not have a site plan, you know, with the safety path in it, they're told to put it in there, even though they may never have it.
What does that mean?
It means in the future, I mean, it's going to be laid out that if they ever decide to do it, it's there.
Okay. But I think
And where?
that would probably be necessary if someone else in adjacent property built something with a safety path, and you have to fill it in.
You'd have two safety paths side
Oh,
by
no.
side.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't?
No, just connecting.
Oh, you're saying beyond
You know, my
the
little
scope of the
my little segment's here, but there's nobody here and nobody here. But if somebody builds here and someone builds there, then I better fill it in.
You've seen that with sidewalks
You do?
in subdivisions, occasionally. In some of the old subdivisions.
Uh-huh.
They won't have sidewalks, but the new ones require it. And safety path, I guess, would be a kind of a sidewalk, wouldn't it?
Is the safety path paved or is the safety path like cement?
Safety path can be both, either, or. It can be
What
gravel.
distinguishes one from the other?
How much money the township has to pave it or
I
not.
see. The depth of the roadbed.
Right, that kind of thing. Or if it's worked out, you know, in a PUD agreement, you know, where, you know, the contractor or developer would provide it.
Yeah.
But that's all negotiable.
Well, of course, when your contractor is doing that and for multiple units, he's probably going to build one to make it look more attractive to the owners,
You think so?
potential owners.
I think he might.
Could.
Okay, could. Would, probably.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe, okay. Discussion followed with...
Keep those kids with their bicycles off your lawn, you know?
Right. Discussion followed with Callie Rossner Meyer about protocol and procedures and concerning the ZBA and what kind of information should be sent to the ZBA you know, on behalf of the Planning Commission to inform them as to what direction they might want to consider the ZBA to take. But actually, Todd Bell was against that. He says, no. He said, I'm going to bushwhack them. He said, no, they don't need to know that because they want them to make the decision based on the evidence that they have at hand and not be influenced, you know, by the Planning Commission's efforts. So,
So is he in favor of sending any documentation to the ZBA?
well, I think he is, but personally, you know, if it were
Without
me,
a- without a
I'd say
recommendation.
Callie would be asking for the right kind of information. She wants to check the waters and see where it's rippling, you know, and, you know.
Who threw the
that
stone?
Yeah, that would allow her to do a little more exploratory,
Yeah.
you know, into it before making some decisions based on not all the facts
And things like that.
and things like that. You got it. So anyway, it was rather interesting. There is a preliminary site plan for the Woodland site, North Woodland site, condominium complex. Again, Jim Sharp was involved in that.
Hey, what's the name of the complex that's going in by Myers?
You know, I used to know that. I had it. Didn't you take a note on that? I thought you
Yeah.
did.
There's a big wind and all they blew away.
Talking about the big win, what's coming up next?
Not much.
Oh, I got to hear this.
On June 6th, there are two meetings at 7 p.m.
Two?
The Village of Oxford ZBA.
Hey.
Favorite of yours.
Yeah, I thought they
And
canceled that.
Could have.
Check
maybe,
your schedule.
Maybe. And at 7:30 p.m., the Addison Township Park Committee. And that is it.
I always liked the Addison Township Park Committee, though.
You love it.
Yeah, there's lots of neat things going over there. You hear about the porcupines and the bears behind the trees and all that good stuff. I mean,
And the park rangers.
park rangers, yeah. They, don't pet the skunks. I know, we went through that, didn't we? But anyway, they're a good group of people over there. And looking forward to that one. That's coming up when?
The skunk may be pretty, and he may look friendly, but he's easily irritated.
Yeah, not as much as the porcupine.
What was that again? 7:30. Addison
7:30?
Township Park Committee.
And what date?
Same date, June 6th.
June 6th. Fantastic. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.